Once again, thank you so much for having the patience and for being here with us. Um, you can't see me on the camera because, like I said, we're having technical difficulties. But my name is Rosa Vasquez, and I am the president and founder of Ma of New Jersey. And I'm here with Michelle Saavedra, as well as her sister Daisy Saavedra. And we're super excited because this is the first time that we're doing this type of town hall information for the community. It will be in English, but we'll be working on some informational videos in Spanish for the parents to be able to see, and for you to show your parents. But all of this information is really, it was gathered to make more of the awareness out there for particularly high school, college students, to empower them and to really showcase the impact that we have, and or the lack of resources that we have in the state of New Jersey when it comes to education. We are the second largest demographic here in New Jersey. And, as we go through the data and the numbers, it will show. And I have these two lovely ladies with me today because they've been advocating, and they really they are inspired, and they want to advocate for the youth because of their stories, and you will get to know them a little bit more. If you can follow us on social media with the tag MAVNJ501C3org. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I really encourage you to follow us and or comments and any messages. And with further ado, like I said, we are a nonprofit for mainly we focus on high school and college students. We've been doing this for about 3 years now. You can visit our website at maofnj.org. And we move on to Miss Michelle, who will be telling us a little bit about the background on diversity here in the state of New Jersey.
Thank you, Rosa. Again, my name is Michelle. I'm the Vice President of MAFNJ. And just talking about a little bit of New Jersey and its diversity, surprisingly, of course, New Jersey students of color make up 56% of the state's students' population. And as well as the teachers of color make up 60% of the state's teacher workforce. This data was collected in 2016 and is provided by the Department of Education. Later on, the main goal for the New Jersey Department of Education is by 2025 that they hope that all children, regardless of race, will have access to ethno-racially diverse novens, meaning teachers with less than 4 years of experience. Educator workforce that better reflects the state's student population and it's culturally responsive. And in order to achieve that, they hope to partner up with educator preparation providers, county colleges, local education agencies, professional associations, policymakers, and community-rooted organizations with the intent to implement promising recruitment and preparation and retention strategies for teachers, and also integrate culturally responsive practices and pedagogy. Next slide, please.
So when it comes to the inadequate funding in the state of New Jersey, the New Jersey School Funding Reform Act, or the acronym that has SFRA, is a weighted funding formula designed to deliver adequate funding based on the unique student needs in every school district across the state. This was enacted back in 2008 to comply with the New Jersey Supreme Court directive in the landmark Abbott versus Burke case that school funding must be based on the actual cost of delivering the state's academic standards to all students. However, after just 1 year, the funding didn't really go through anywhere, and it has been because of legislators going back and forth and not really understanding how it works. It was only 1 year after the Supreme Court rule for the adequate funding. They only funded the Reform Act for 1 year, and after that, it has been left forgotten, or in schools are underfunded. And why is this important? So as you can see, let me go back to the, and I just want to move this so you can see a little bit better what we're talking about. So why is this important? This is important because it affects our communities. The most recent data of 2020 to 2021, the state numbers are as follow. Kindergarten through 8th grade, we have Latino students are composed of 263 almost thousand, and high school students between 9th and 12th grade are almost 116,000. The college or undergraduate, the numbers are only around 21,000. And we'll have more information on our second town hall, really focusing on college students and how that impacts us. But I really want you to focus on the numbers for the kindergarten through 8th grade and high school, 9 through 12. Those numbers, and just take a look at the number that reflects when our students go into college, or if they decide to go into college or a higher education, whether that is 2-year institutions, which are known as community colleges, or 4-year institutions, whether that is a college or a university. Other factors that may play into that number might be the technical or vocational school, where they can start going when they are in high school. But the numbers are still very low for our students of color going into college. The other thing, so let me move on. I do want to show you the visual data that I have here, and it is, as you can see, the numbers and how the lack of the resources when they go into college, the green that is over here. So there's a huge amount of students going between K through 8, and then some of them may move out of state, or that's probably the main reason why a lot of it drops out here when they go into college. But then high school, and then, but as you can see here, when they are in high school, and then look at that huge difference between high school and college. Now, I do have our Black community of students, K through 8, and 9 through 12, and then college. So the numbers, and again, they could be moving out of state, and this is why, but you don't see as much of a difference between our Black students or our Black community and the Latino community. So I just want you to have that visualization to see how it is. And then now if we go into our contributing factors.
Yeah, thanks, Rosa. And we need to consider why are Latinx students are predisposed, are not able to go to college. Some of the sources are the low self-esteem and imposter syndrome. Racial and ethnic stereotypes, as well as lower academic expectations, are significant hurdles for Latinos finding education. Latino students may be designated as non-college bound from the outset and may not take advantage of college preparatory courses that are available in high school, and being perceived as academically inferior. And speaking English as a second language. in some parts of the country with the fastest growing Latino populations, almost 35% of families have limited English proficiency. And speaking English as a second language can be quite an obstacle for students. These challenges related to language extend to parents as they translate to a lack of knowledge and understanding of the education system, as well as the importance of their children attending and graduating from college. Another factor is the lack of guidance from parents, role models, mentors, and counselors. Many Latino high school students lack guidance from parents or counselors when they're undertaking the college selection and application process. Some immigrant parents may be unfamiliar with the college system in the U.S. The entire college process can be so intimidating and confusing that these students simply give up without protest from parents who often do not understand the ramifications of painful decisions. And it's also maybe difficult to find inspirational role models and mentors, particularly Latinos, who have attended college because of the college completion gap that persists. Attending overcrowded and under-resourced schools compounds the situation, as overloaded school counselors are unable to meet the needs of their students. And being a first-generation college student and lack of college-going culture is also a factor, in the sense that, to know, one of the contributors to the lack of college-going culture among Latino youth is half the parents of Latino undergrads have never enrolled in or graduated from college. This results in first-generation college Latino students who cannot rely on their parents or other family members to assist with the selection admissions process or provide adequate support during college. Although the vast majority of Latino families value a college education very highly, parents may be hesitant to aggressively advocate for their children and are unaware of the necessity for rigor college preparatory coursework in high school. So with that, I do turn it over to Michelle to share some of her stories. Yeah, next slide, please. So just going back, I know David touched on contributing factors and students pursuing higher education, but just going back in public schooling, just wanted to highlight and emphasize that students of color taught by at least one teacher of color in grades K through 5 having increased graduation rates and improved standardized test scores. And also, students who've been exposed to a diverse group of people have a better cognitive abilities, critical thinking skills, and problem-solving abilities. And regular interactions with a variety of racial and ethnic groups help students debunk stereotypes and reduce unconscious biases inside and outside of the classroom. And I think that expands to college as well. Just being exposed and interacting with different racial and ethnic groups, further debunk stereotypes. So I think it's important to increase our diversity within our schooling system, especially in public schools, where we have our students being in the classroom for mostly half of the day or Monday through Friday. So it's important to educate our students and our youth about the importance of having representation in each ethnic group. So that's something that New Jersey hopes to increase, and that's being done right now. Just last year, to close the diversity gap, the Department of Education in 2019 awarded about $750,000 in diversifying the teacher pipeline grants into 2 institutions. So one of them being the Montclair State University that has partnered up with the Newark Public Schools, and as well as the Rutgers University Center for Effective School Practices that has partnered up with a consortium of Passaic County charter schools. And recently, the State Board of Education approved draft regulations for a new state law signed by Governor Murphy in September of last year, which is a pilot program that will take place to launch in 2022 and 2023 academic year. And under the program, the district selected by the State Education Commissioner will have the ability to waive a single missing certification requirement for a prospective teacher in exchange for providing mentoring and other support. So the law itself is intended to extend the teacher candidate pool to provide relief to school districts experiencing staff challenges, especially now with the COVID-19 pandemic. So there's action being done, and let's hope to see some improvement diverse our teacher.
Thank you, Michelle. And with that, I do want to, as we're talking about, how everyone it's impacted, and about the numbers and the all of the different things that play, or all of the factors that play into the education, right? The lack of resources from not properly funding the schools that may need it the most, from not having enough of diversity teachers, and that is a huge problem. Not just there has been always been that problem, but on top of the pandemic, there's not a lot of teachers in general. So finding teachers of color is even more of a problematic situation, because of the pandemic as well. And a lot of them just feel, overworked. Any teachers that work in a school district that may need more resources, or low income communities, they do a lot of the extra things that you may not think of. Putting their own money to buy supplies for the students, and that's just the basic to keep the everyday teaching. And so when it comes to having maybe after school programs or volunteering for different things, if you have a family who you need to provide for, and or take care of, you don't necessarily have the first of all the energy to keep on volunteering to have the any type of programming. And there is, like we have said, there are a lot of different types of factors that play into it. And when the students start to see that, if it's not possible, right? If it's not possible, like, how can I ever become someone more than what they are used to? How can I become a doctor? How can I become a lawyer? How can I become into a politician? If they are not used to seeing a role model that they can say, he or she looks like me, I want to be that person. That's where the self-esteem comes into place. Like Daisy was talking about, the imposter syndrome, and we all go through it. But the issue is that our community is even more receptive to this, because we don't have someone telling us, yes, it's possible that you can do it. Yeah, look at your neighbor, look at your family members, look at so and so, or your teachers. We don't have many people telling us that that is possible. And this is why it's very important that, starting from a young age, realizing that the sky is the limit, and understanding that you need to advocate not just for yourself but for your peers, and explaining to your parents why it's important to voice your opinion at any type of issue that you may feel passionate about, especially when it comes to the Board of Educations. I think that's the key to start empowering our community of students and the parents, understanding why it's important, why should we do this, and really start changing the story behind what we can do and what we can achieve. And with that, I do have Michelle. She's going to tell us her story from kindergarten through high school, I believe, since we're going to leave the college part for the second part. And whenever you're ready, Michelle, you can start telling us your story.
Of course, yeah, I'm the vice president, and I just joined this organization because it's very empowering that we have a goal on diversifying our education system, as well as encouraging the young youth to pursue a higher education. And growing up, the next slide, I can talk more about that. just growing up in general, well, I guess just going back on what I've achieved thus far as being a first generation Mexican American student, and just starting from zero, I think I did, and not having that guidance and support, when it came to public education, gearing up for college, writing an essay, financial aid, I have no clue about that. But I just, had to learn throughout my years, and thankfully, I went to college. I started off in Middlesex County College. I graduated with an associate's degree in biology, and then transferred at Kane, and then graduated with my bachelor's in molecular biology. And then just last year, I graduated at the Graduate School of Arts and Science at NYU. I got a master's in biology, specifically DNA recombinant technology sector. And currently, I work within the in vitro pharmacology branch of a biotechnology here in New Jersey. So, as just looking back, I've achieved a lot, and although sometimes the imposter syndrome kicks in, I just need to ground myself and look back that I've done a lot of things, and that's my another goal is to share my experiences and just give advice to the younger youth, and if they want to pursue a STEM degree and what it takes to reach that goal of becoming a professional. So that's an ongoing progress. Next slide, please. So again, growing up, I lived in a household where primarily we spoke all Spanish, and so basically that led me to take some ESL classes, during my kindergarten, my first, second grade years, and till now, I'm still, I think I have some sort of accent. Sometimes it comes out, I don't speak 100% English nor 100% Spanish. So it's like the in-between, I think I would describe myself. But yeah, I struggled a little bit in the beginning. So if you don't know the English language 100%, you're not able to learn as quickly as your other peers. So that's something that I personally struggled with, but overcame that. And in general, I had both parents that worked very long hours, and they weren't able to participate in education. So that's something that they touched on a little bit. That contributing factors of younger youth pursuing a higher education. Till this day, my parents still work a lot, but they've been a really great support system. And just me communicating, I think that's something that I want to emphasize to the younger youth, to stay communicating with your parents. Although you may talk about college and they may not know what you're talking about when it comes to careers, just let them know, just what you are interested in pursuing, and just keeping them informed. I think that's important. Just one last point about, in general, I felt like predominantly I had Caucasian teachers. So I felt there was a lack of representation in spaces of education in general. And, coming from elementary school, middle school, high school, I still saw that predominantly I guess Caucasian teachers. And just wanted to touch on, I asked my brother a few days ago, I asked him, have you seen any, quote unquote colored teachers or staff members? And he's like, no, I don't. And that's something that we still are, seeing till this day. We have to increase the diversity within our teachers. It's important because that's the first person that our younger youth children are seeing and interacting. So we hope for a better future and just improvement of our diversity within our teachers. Next slide. So, and overall for me, what I would tell my younger self and to the younger audience, don't feel intimidated by your peers who freely speaking up in class or have tried to assimilate in order to fit in. Basically, for me personally, I felt super shy growing up, and I felt like my voice wasn't important enough to even contribute to a classroom conversation. And I think that's something, I guess, for a lot of people can relate to, but specifically me being colored and being in a classroom where 90% were Caucasian classmates, I just felt intimidated by a bit. So just don't feel intimidated by that. Just be yourself. Don't hide your identity as being maybe Hispanic, Latin, Black. Don't hide that. I think that's something that could negatively impact you later on, personally and mentally. And overall, take initiative, find a mentor. That's something that I would emphasize for the younger youth, high school, who are unsure what to pursue later on, or even college. College is something right for them. I think finding a teacher who you can relate to, get close with, and they can guide you to the best way and the best path for you. So with that being said, I would like to pass this to my sister Daisy, who recently is a college student, and she can share her experience.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Rosa and Emmy and Jay, for giving me the opportunity to share my story and touch others, and thank you for all who are tuning in. So a bit of background, aside from being a volunteer for Emmy of NJ, I'm a first-gen Mexican-American college student. I'm currently a rising senior at American University in Washington, D.C., majoring in international relations with a national security and foreign policy concentration and Russian language training. In addition, I am a PPIA JSAI fellow at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and recently interned at British Parliament, U.S. Congress, and the Association for Diplomatic Studies and Training at the State Department. Next slide, please. So, a bit of background. It's been quite a long journey getting here. Although I'm still in college, there's a lot of my impressions of the world of higher education reflects my adversity that I faced during my K through 12 education. Starting off in preschool and elementary school, I didn't feel like an outsider, actually. To note, my township in New Jersey is really diverse. A lot of other first-gen Americans. However, there's no Hispanic community where I come from, and thus it was until second through the later half of elementary did I feel from my peers a consciousness of race and class. And being the only brown girl in my class, or Latina, it felt like I was othered at times, especially from faculty and staff who would pull me out of class, and other people from the other Latinos from the other classes, and put us into small working groups for additional support, even though without parental consent or just. And so in that regard, there was instances of discrimination. It was only until I told my parents about that, my experiences of being taken out of the classroom, wasn't until they came up and spoke to the school. And even based on my academic performance, I didn't need additional support. So that was really impactful in terms of social cohesion and being included in the classroom. And by middle school and high school, I was the only brown, Latinx female in my advanced and college level classes and extracurriculars. In particular, staff and classmates did not take me seriously. They didn't believe that Mexican American could be in Navy classes when I shared my background. And in a way, it was reinforcing this understanding or stereotype that Latinx people were capable of being academically excellent. And so it was a struggle trying to take up space and feel confident in my own skin to participate and take advantage of the opportunities. And gatekeeping. No one really wanted to help me when I was preparing my college application process. We had college counselors in my high school, but no one, again, took me seriously. I was brushed up. Conversations with counselors were pushed aside when other students came in, particularly white students. And as mentioned before, it was diverse, so I was my classmates were particularly East and Southeast Asian descent, and so, and a lot of my friends, they had, their parents went to college, or they had specialized training after school, they had tutoring. I had none of that. And so with the lack of outside support, family support academically, it was hard to feel as though that I could actually go to college, have a career, see myself as a professional. So it took a lot to And it still is to take up space and be involved in my community and realize my dream. But it's not impossible. And I have some more advice to share on my next slide. So what helped me get to this point is finding allies among peers and faculty. Sometimes, although it's not, people in school won't be offering their help or shoulder, outrightly. You have to feel it out, read the room, and your relationships with your teachers and peers. I found a lot of support from my English and history teachers who, over the course of taking classes in there for several years, some of them taught some of them continued to teach honors and AP, and I just clicked with them, and so they knew me well enough to hear me out, hear my story, and be a person of support, and even writing recommendation letters for me, and asking for help. I think, as mentioned before, Latinos are less inclined to ask for help, to feel like they're not wasting people's time, and I'm speaking that from my personal experience. And so whether that be for academic tutoring, staying after school, meeting with teachers, teachers they went to college to help you. And so that's their primary duty, and they do want to see you succeed. So, you yourself, as a student, should feel empowered to do that, even though it may be just you, that sense of loneliness, or it takes a level of bravery, and I commend you for that, and you should, take the opportunities around you in order to academically excel, or just see any opportunity through. And also, I can't emphasize enough, mental health is a big thing in our community, so if you're having struggles, whether being a first-gen college student, high school student, American, whatever the situation may be, do reach out for help. Everyone's open. If you cannot find it in your households, school, there's always going to be a resource. So it just, please do take that extra step if need be. And thirdly, be patient with yourself and support system, whether that be your family or legal guardian, whatever it may be. I know you're being the first person to pursue higher education is a very daunting task. It's emotionally, physically demanding, and so you have to respect the process and know that it's going to take some time to reach some awards. And as the saying goes, everything good in life takes time and energy, and you're just going to have to be patient with the process and acknowledge your hard work, growth, and resiliency along the way. I think, particularly speaking to imposter syndrome, although you may be working hard, like maybe pulling all-nighters or taking a lot of classes or whatever it may be, or doing extracurriculars at school, and you hope why didn't I get into the honor society? Why am I not, didn't win that club election or things like that? You have to be patient and acknowledge that you worked hard enough to, as a first-gen student, a lot of students, your peers may have been here for several generations, or their parents went to college, or whatever it may be. Acknowledge that, and it's taken you and your family so much to be here and to go to college education, be involved in your classes, and so do acknowledge that, and by acknowledging that, you'll definitely have better intentions, and in terms of or just having a good source of motivation to keep going. I'm not trying to say, the hustle culture is for everyone. I know maybe, those are conversations in terms of working hard and playing hard. I'm not advocating for that either. It's just you are on your own journey. Don't compare yourself with others, and you're going to seek success in your own ways. So, and that's how I've made my way to DC and am realizing my career in government. But that's, yeah, so I think that's all. And we'll be continuing this conversation at part 2 of our town hall. So please stay tuned. And I'll pass it back to Rosa.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Michelle and Daisy, for sharing your story with us and doing this. And like I said, this is our first town hall ever that we're going to be doing, and it's really to talk about the issues that exist here in New Jersey when it comes to the education system and how it impacts our students, our communities, because that has a big impact when it comes to finding a job, moving upward in the upward mobility, and breaking that cycle, right? I mean, a lot of you, you have parents who came here and left everything behind, and now it's let's find a way to work and break that that cycle where you may not, maybe you don't go to college and you keep on day to day working to pay the day to day bills, and that's it's a rat race, which is a phrase in English that you're just working to keep afloat. And what we want to do is what is really out there, what can we do, and empower you to advocate for you, for your peers, for our community, and start changing things. And the first step is to understand what is happening, what are the numbers, what is out there, what has been left behind, like the inadequate funding, or the underfunding formula that nothing has been done with it except for the first year back in 2008 when it was enacted, and the resources that may be out there to keep on fighting for more equality, and and empower our community to succeed. So our next part, which will be focused on college, will be coming April 9th. And I hope that if you have any questions or any comments, anything like that, please let us know. There will be an event on actually next week, Saturday the 26th, at Mercer Community College, where we invite any college student or graduate student who is looking for any resources when it comes to mock interviews, resume editing, or any tips on social media. You're more than welcome to go. It's from 10 to 3, and it's a free event. So you can go into our website, www.malvenj.org/services or programs, where you can find the link where you can register. And again, it's free. And once again, thank you, Daisy and Michelle, for doing this. And I do apologize, we were supposed to have this at 1 o'clock, but with Facebook Live and trying to connect it, we had technical difficulties on getting this going. But I do appreciate all the time, and Daisy is in Washington DC, and thank you for taking the time, and I hope to see you one day become someone powerful and helping our community, and I'm sure you will get there the same way with Michelle, because they have outstanding accomplishments. So thank you for taking the time, and if you have any questions or anything, you can comment or send us an email, and follow us on social media. And if that's it, if Michelle or Daisy don't have anything else to say, thank you, and we'll see you on April 9th.